Sanae Takaichi has won the vote to become the head of Japan's ruling party, putting her on course to become the country's first woman prime minister. She will be charged with reviving the flagging fortunes of the ruling party. Now, she was elected president of the Liberal Democratic Party after winning a vote-off against Agriculture Minister Shinjiro Koizumi, son of a former premier.
今回の総裁選は自民党が本当に変わる。
Takaichi got 185 votes against 156 votes for Koizumi in the runoff. The winner will almost certainly be approved by the parliament as Japan's fifth prime minister in as many years. Once formally elected, the 64-year-old Takaichi would be Japan's first woman premier.
Together with so many of you, we have truly marked a new era for the Liberal Democratic Party. Thank you very much.
Now, she would face a host of complex issues, including an aging population, geopolitical upheaval, a faltering economy, and growing unease about immigration. First, however, they will have to ensure that the LDP, which has governed almost non-stop since 1955, can rally voters again. Outgoing Premier Shigeru Ishiba took the reins last year, but his LDP-led coalition lost its majority in both houses of parliament, and he threw in the towel. She is one of the most conservative members of the male-dominated party. Now, on the economy, Takaichi has in the past backed aggressive monetary easing and big fiscal spending, echoing her mentor, former Premier Shinzo Abe. But she tempered her stance on the campaign trail. Takaichi, known as a China hawk, has also sounded more moderate in her views on Beijing on the campaign trail. And to discuss more, we're now being joined by James T.J. Brown from Tokyo. He's a professor of political science at the Temple University, Japan. Thank you so much, Mr. Brown, for joining us on the broadcast.
My pleasure.
Sir, Sanae Takaichi is set to make history as Japan's first woman prime minister, a milestone in itself. But given her roots in the traditionalist camp of the LDP, do people really see this as a turning point? Or is there a sense that perhaps the glass ceiling has cracked without much changing on the ground?
Well, I think that's a really excellent question because it is a turning point. The first female prime minister in a country that has been dominated by male politicians, that has quite a poor ranking when it comes to gender equality. This is a big change, having the first female leader. But at the same time, she's not a reformist. In other ways, she's a step back to an earlier era of more conservative prime ministers. And in particular, her mentor, former Prime Minister Abe Shinzo, who was Prime Minister between 2012 and 2020, she's very much going to return to some of his policies. So it's interesting. It's both a turning point and a return to the past.
It is an interesting point, but it also brings us to the bigger picture here that if the symbolism of her rise is one thing, the substance of how she governs will be quite another. And having said that, if she does walk into the top job on October 15th, she's immediately staring down at some very tough issues there. We have an aging economy, then the economic slowdown, of course, rising tensions in the region and the immigration worries. Now, how do you see her balancing these bold reforms with the rather conservative instincts, as you've just mentioned?
Yeah, so it's going to be exceptionally difficult. Those are the two main issues she's facing. First of all, the economy and the public's concerns about the rising cost of living, stagnant wages for a long period of time. And then the second one is about immigration. Japan has largely been, up until now, a country of very, very low immigration. That's now beginning to change, and it's leading to something of a public backlash. So one of those things she can deal with. She can take a harder line towards immigration. The other one, the economy, that's more difficult. It's not so easy to just, pull a rabbit out of the hat and change Japan's economy. So that's going to be a real struggle. And added to that, she has to do all of this without having a majority in either house of parliament. So some people think, yeah, great, she's won this, but how long is she going to be in the job? It's possible she might be another rather short-term Japanese prime minister.
Right, of course, we'll have to wait and watch to see how Sanae Takaichi's tenure shapes up. But for now, thank you so much, Mr. Brown, for joining us in the broadcast and helping us unpack what could be a historic shift in Tokyo's political landscape.
A great pleasure. Thank you very much.